For hundreds of years, Native Americans, the first possessors of these lands, had been attracted here by the salt springs, which gave the river its name. Discovered and named by early 18th century Frenchmen whose expeditions had brought them from Lake Erie, these settlers discerned 6 individual Native American trails converging on the salt springs, which were located on the banks and in the bed of the river. Not only did the salt have barter value, but it also attracted a variety of animals, such as deer and elk, a good example of the commodification of nature. In 1865, a group of local businessmen tried to revive the county's oldest industry by forming a company to manufacture salt. They hired a contractor who built a derrick on the farm. However, after testing, the drilling and salt works were abandoned and forgotten. It appears the springs were active well into the 20th century, based on a 1907 map made by the University of Michigan. It is easy to understand why the springs are not seen today, as the lowering of the groundwater table has eliminated the spring source. This was pivotal in the development of the town, as it gave them the economic resources to form a village. One of the more recent and talked about environmental problems has been water quality. The wastewater treatment plant charged with being in violation of state standards in 2019. Officials have promised the brown drinking water that has been a source of frustration for some residents isn't harmful. Superintendent of the city's water and wastewater treatment plant provided a long list of issues his department has dealt with. It included some permit submissions and other time-consuming tasks, along with equipment failures, which is no surprise considering it's 66 years old. The state's Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy Water Resources Division sent the city an enforcement notice and began negotiating an administrative consent order to provide a timeline for the correction of plant problems. The city of Saline plans to flush the water system in the hope that it helps reduce the frequency of rusty water coming from Saline taps. The demographics of Saline match similarly with some of the neighboring communities that share its small stature. However, zooming out, it doesn't match well with many larger communities in the region or even the state itself. In 2020, there was a parent meeting at Saline High School to address recent student racism. A father had been recounting times his now adult son was called names such as enchilada or taco during school, leaving him in tears. Tom Bertel, a white parent, interrupted him to respond, "Then why didn't you stay in Mexico?" I can honestly say I never felt more ashamed for being from this community. There is clearly deep-rooted racism here, and most likely the reason we see the white people dominating the population demographics. The only saving grace is there have been since marches and rallies in Saline to address such issues. For the most part, the water sources have stagnated in this town, historically coming from wells, but now with added filtration after extracting it. Additionally, energy has come from mostly the same sources, coal and natural gas. There have been recent additions, usually individual homes or farms, that implement renewable energy sources such as geothermal, solar, and wind. Interestingly, I think the food systems are what have changed the most in Saline's history. For example, on our city seal, there is wheat to represent the farmers, indicating that farmers were subsistence farming. Now, the fields are covered in monocrop corn for animal feed or soybeans for oil. I have long wondered if this system is actually worthwhile and how our food production could change if we had more sustainable practices. There are golf courses, a rec center, parks, wilderness parks, farmers markets, and annual events like the Celtic Fest or Oktoberfest. Even though some of these have a rich history, they play a relatively small role in this town's story. I think if people could work within the resilience and systems thinking principles, they will be able to avoid collapse. That being said, I have felt the shift towards urbanism, industrialism, and consumerism even in my own lifetime. There have been lots of development, multiple new neighborhoods, new business complexes, and oil drilling locations, including one about a mile from my house. Everyone always has the next new clothing, phones, and shoes. Very few people you meet have any idea or concern for the protection of the environment, and moreover, don't even enjoy nature. I choose to believe in the power of groups like the Saline Environmental Commission to raise awareness in the community. Without people within the community understanding and caring about these issues, they will never be solved.